In a city of 3 million people, there was a man whose wealth could tilt entire neighborhoods, and a girl whose existence barely registered to anyone passing by. And on a quiet Tuesday morning, without warning, their lives collided over something so small that most people would have missed it completely. Jonathan Hayes was known in business circles as a man who could read people with precision. He built Mary Holdings into something that influenced construction, real estate, and investment across the city. People followed his decisions, copied his strategies, and studied his moves. Yet success had also built distance between him and the world beneath his level. Emily, by contrast, lived without structure beyond survival. She had no steady home. Emily Carter moved through a very different reality. Behind a bakery that shut its doors each night, leaving only the faint smell of bread behind, she laid out a flattened piece of cardboard and called enough. She worked for dignity in small ways, refusing to beg even when hunger pressed hard against her. Every day was a negotiation between hope and reality. The city itself seemed to ignore her existence, but she kept moving through it with a quiet determination that came from somewhere deeper than circumstance. Neither of them knew that a single object would soon connect their two worlds in a way that would force both to confront something neither money nor hardship could hide. It happened in broad daylight, where movement never stopped and attention was always divided. Emily noticed a black car stop abruptly near the entrance of Mary Holdings. A man stepped out, focused, speaking sharply into his phone, completely absorbed in his world of urgency and power. In that moment, something small left his possession without him noticing. A wallet, heavy and unmistakably valuable, landed where only someone paying close attention would see it. Emily saw it. She approached slowly, uncertain at first, then picked it up. Inside were cards, identification, and more money than she had ever seen at once. Jonathan Hayes was written clearly on the ID. The realization settled in her mind with weight. No one around her had noticed. The opportunity to walk away existed without consequence in appearance, but not inconsequence within her. The decision she was about to make would define everything that followed. Before we dive deeper, let us know in the comments where you're watching from. We'd love to hear from you, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss any of our upcoming videos. Emily stood still, holding the wallet as the world continued moving around her without awareness of what she carried. Her thoughts moved between survival and something deeper she had been raised to hold on to, even in moments of desperation. The city offered her silence in that decision. No guidance, no interruption, only the pressure of choice. And while she considered what the money could solve in her life, another voice from memory anchored her in a different direction entirely. She turned toward the direction of Mary Holdings, carrying something that did not belong to her, not out of fear of being seen, but out of certainty about who she was when no one was watching. Every entrance to Mary Holdings had cameras, 47 of them, to be exact. It was the kind of security that came with having enemies, and Jonathan Hayes had made his share of those over the years. His head of security called upstairs the moment the commotion started at the gate. Standard protocol. But when Jonathan Hayes pulled up the gate footage on his office monitor, he went completely still. He watched a young woman in worn clothes approach his gate. He watched her show his ID to the guard. He watched his guard grab her wrist and call her a thief. And he watched her stand there, still, unbothered by the chaos around her. Head up, eyes forward, like she had nothing to hide and everything to prove. Then he picked his phone. "Bring her up," he said, 2 words. The guard on the other end paused. "Sir, she is dash," I said. "Bring her up." The elevator doors of Mary Holdings opened on the 40th floor, and Emily stepped into a space that felt like another world entirely, where glass walls revealed a city that once looked unreachable from the ground. Jonathan Hayes stood near the center of the office, his posture calm, controlled, as if he had already replayed every possible outcome of the moment before it happened. The wallet sat on the desk between them, untouched, exactly as it had been when Emily brought it back through the guarded entrance after being accused without hesitation. Neither of them spoke at first, because the silence carried more weight than any introduction could. Jonathan finally broke it. not with anger or accusation, but with a simple observation that cut through expectation. He said she could have kept it. Emily answered without hesitation, without performance, without searching for approval. Yes. When he asked why she didn't, she paused only long enough for honesty to settle, then said it wasn't hers. That was all. Jonathan Hayes had spent years sitting across from powerful figures, people who measured every word before speaking, people who negotiated truth like currency. Yet in that moment, he found himself facing something unfamiliar. Emily did not adjust her story to fit what would benefit her. She did not attempt to impress or defend herself beyond what was necessary. She simply stood with the same quiet discipline that had carried her through streets that had never offered her comfort. Jonathan studied her carefully, noticing the worn edges of her clothing, the exhaustion in her posture, and the clarity in her expression that did not match her circumstances. He had built his life on identifying intention in others, but here intention was not hidden. It was direct. He asked her what she needed, and for the first time in a long time, Emily did not answer immediately. Not because she did not know, but because no one in her life had ever asked her that question with the power to change anything. The office felt still as the question hung between them. Emily's thoughts drifted briefly through everything she had learned about survival, about dignity, about what it meant to refuse shortcuts, even when life made them appear reasonable. Jonathan waited without pressure, something rare for a man who usually commanded outcomes rather than observed them. Outside the glass walls, the city continued moving with its usual indifference, unaware that a shift was forming in a room high above it. Emily finally lifted her eyes and spoke. "I didn't do it for a reward." Jonathan Hayes at that moment picked the wallet and opened it. Then he closed the wallet slowly and set it aside, his attention never leaving her. That answer, stripped of strategy, landed in a way that disrupted the expectations built into every interaction Jonathan had experienced in his life. Jonathan Hayes had negotiated with powerful figures, managed conflict at corporate levels, and faced people trained to manipulate truth. Yet sitting across from Emily, he encountered something he had not prepared for. She did not attempt to elevate herself or soften her reality. She simply existed within it, unchanged by opportunity or pressure. He observed her carefully, noting the exhaustion that came from survival, but also the discipline that had prevented it from breaking her entirely. "You will join my team and work here," he said, without asking for her opinion about it. He called his manager immediately and told him she will be working in the account department. The manager was surprised by his sudden decision without the board team. By the next morning, Emily was already in the office when she decided to clean up a file that was dusty in the boardroom, but stumbled into a secret in Mary Holdings. Immediately, the manager walked in and asked her what she was looking for in the boardroom. Here's what I want you to hold on to before part 2. Emily didn't return that wallet because she expected a reward. She returned it because of who she was, and her new position revealed a hidden secret in Mary Holdings that became life-threatening and eventually brought integrity to stay. Even when no one was watching, in a world that rewards calculation and punishes, vulnerability is rarer than any amount of money in any wallet. The men who try to take shortcuts often find that time corrects what they try to bypass, while the ones who choose the harder path, the one that costs more than it gives, are the ones history eventually refuses to ignore. Maybe you stood in a moment where the easier path and the right path were not the same. Maybe not with a wallet, but with a choice that asked something deeper from you. If so, share in the comments. The kind of honesty that matters more than most people realize. If stories like this keep you thinking long after they end, subscribe for more real-life mysteries where one small moment changes everything.